I'm Judy Pitsiokis. I am the owner of First Light Home Care, which is a brand new personal and companion care business in the area. We just had our grand opening on June 7th, and it was a lot of fun. And I have about 7 minutes to try to convince you guys to come up with some sort of reason why you might want to consider recommending my company over other people's that you probably have done business with for years and you trust and you understand what they do. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you go into a lot of detail about what we do. We take people to doctor's offices, we, make them healthy meals and that sort of thing, because I think I've been in this business for about 2 months, and you guys probably know an awful lot more about what I do than I actually do. So if you need a little refresher on the details of the sorts of things that we actually provide, you have your little green brochure, and you can look in there, and it has a little list. So what I think is more important is just to try to give you a sense of what First Light is and why I went with First Light instead of other organizations that I might have hooked up with, and also a little bit about who I am so that you know that I'm not some strange person that you don't want to have anything to do with. So why First Light? When I decided to do this, I initially thought I was just going to start this business, and I was going to be a home and personal and companion care person and hire people to do this for me. And then I realized that my background, this is my third career. My first one was as a corporate lawyer. My second one was as a policy think tank executive in DC. The learning curve was going to be extraordinarily steep for me coming into this sort of thing. I've never run a small business. I've always wanted to, but I never have. So I decided fairly quickly with my partner, who's an RN, that it would be a really good idea if we investigated the franchises. And I quickly found that for the franchise fee, what they had to offer, to me, it was a no-brainer. So I went on 5 discovery days, which is what they call it, when you go to them and they basically try to sell you on why their system is the best. And they all have a lot to offer. I have nothing negative to say about any of them. But at First Light, really, it stood out for me because I felt like, okay, what's the basic principle here? The basic principle is you're putting somebody else in somebody's home. It's a really, really high trust position. You want to know what's going on. You want to know what they're doing. You want to know how they're doing. And First Light had the best systems for me to be able to keep track of what my caregivers are doing, when they're doing it, and how satisfied the clients are with what we're providing, which to me was tremendous. It's a really neat little system. It's all telephonic and web-based, and so I can check. I get a phone call if a caregiver's 5 minutes late, and I know that that's an accurate thing because of the way this whole thing is set up. So anyway, that sold me, and the other thing that really sold me was the accessibility of senior management. I could probably, if I had brought my cell phone, call up the president right now and say, I'm in this discussion thing, and I'm totally blanking on what I'm supposed to say, and he'd help me out. They're just tremendously accessible people. I've had a lot of problems with QuickBooks recently, but I can always call them, and I can say, what am I doing? Why isn't this uploading, and why isn't this working? So yeah, right. So they're terrific with that. They had a strike against them because their discovery day was in Cincinnati, and it was below zero the day that I went. So my first impression wasn't good, but they more than made up for it. So there are a lot of good companies out there. I think they're terrific. That's why I bought into them. I think that their systems and their responsiveness really helped me to be able to provide a really good quality product. So the other thing is, who am I? Who am I? Why am I doing this? Why didn't I open a coffee shop? Probably would have been easier. And the reason is, 7 years ago, my dad died of Alzheimer's. And it had a really, really strong impact on me. Everybody's got a wonderful dad, but my dad was the most wonderful dad. He was one of the leading evolutionary biologists of the 20th century, so he's a brilliant, brilliant man, which goes to show you that it spares no one. 2 minutes! Oh no! Oh no! So how do I shorten this? My parents moved into well, he was also a tremendous athlete. He was 6'5", he played volleyball till he was beach volleyball with 20-something-year-olds who called him Daddy George until he was 75 years old. I mean, this guy was incredible. He was a wonderful father, a very devoted husband. My parents moved into a big, posh, continuing care community when they were in their mid-70s because they never wanted to be not under the same roof. And, you know, things went along well for a while. He was diagnosed a month after they moved in. And then the brutal stuff started. And my mother, who was an extremely social and physically active person, spent all of her time taking care of this man. And she was a disaster. So we brought in Patsy. We children conspired and we brought someone in. And my parents are like sherry-sipping, NPR listening academics who, this woman bounces in. Patsy bounces in. She looks like Dolly Parton. She talks like the what was her name? Marissa Tomei character and My Cousin Vinny. She goes in. She gives my father a big kiss. Says, "We're going to be best friends," and puts on a Western. I thought my mother was going to have a stroke. And my dad just looked up at her and said, "Can I have some ice cream?" She fed that man ice cream till the week before he died. And my mother grew to trust her, got over her jealousy of this new girl, and she reclaimed her life. And I think she's now, I mean, it's been 7 years. This year she was voted the resident, I forget what it's called, the Community Volunteer of the Year by her big CCRC. She's got going to the gala in September and all of that. And she's doing wonderfully. And I think a lot of it is because she was able to segue back into her life because we brought this woman in. So when I wanted to start a small business, it was a no-brainer. I just said, what could be better than bringing Patsy's to other people's moms and dads? And it really, I mean, it means a tremendous amount to me. I've done the corporate thing, and it's just so wonderful to see these people and to have that hands-on thing where you can really make a difference on a very personal level with people. So that's who I am, and that's a little tiny bit about who First Light is. And I really appreciate this whole thing, and this whole opportunity is so wonderful because I've gotten to know a few of you, and I really want to thank Elizabeth and Amy and the Chamber and all of you guys for showing up because this is a great thing.
Thank you.